Hello again, welcome back to the Telltale channel. Today's story is all about North American mammals, published by Ladybird. Remember to pay close attention to the story and watch it all the way to the end for the quiz and fun facts. Some 60 million years ago, America and Siberia were joined by a land bridge, almost 1,000 miles wide, where they are now separated by the Bering Strait. Across this bridge, mammals entered America from Asia and Europe. The land bridge then became submerged, and it was not until about 1 million years ago that the succession of ice ages caused the sea level to fall and reopened the bridge. Many species must have disappeared during the ice ages, but Siberia, Alaska, and part of Canada were not covered by ice, and the migrations of animals were resumed. These conditions lasted until about 12,000 years ago, when the land bridge again disappeared. In addition to this, the land bridge between North and South America was established only a few million years ago. Until then, Central America was a group of large islands, but with the emergence of the land bridge, the fauna of South America had access to North America. Thus, the mammals of North America are made up of the remnants of the original fauna, such as the pronghorn and prairie dog, of immigrants from Asia such as the weasels, bison and wolf, and immigrants from South America such as the porcupine and opossum. Some species, of course, failed to cross the land bridge or to survive if they did. In North America there are no apes or monkeys, no giraffes, no civets or mongooses. But this enormous continent, stretching from the Arctic to the North Tropic region, contains mammals of great variety and interest. Let us hope that this will always be so. Canadian porcupine and the Alaskan peacock. Porcupines are rodents, belonging in America to the family Erythozontidae, and are found in wooded areas from Alaska to Mexico. Mainly nocturnal, they live in caves or in hollow logs. Once a year a single offspring is born, with eyes open and weighing about 1.5 kilograms, more than a newly born black bear cub. It is equipped with soft 2-centimeter quills which rapidly harden after birth. Adult porcupines have about 30,000 5-centimeter needle-sharp quills which they can erect if in danger. These become easily detached from the skin and impale themselves in an adversary's flesh. Porcupines climb well and will sit for days at a time in one tree, eating the bark which is their principal item of diet. The mammalian order Lagomorpha contains two families, the Acotonidae picas or conies and the Leporidae the hares and rabbits. The two North American species of pica are small tailless animals living in communities among rocks. They are diurnal, active in daytime, and inhabit mountainous country from Alaska to California. In spite of the severe winter climate of the northern part of their range, they do not hibernate. They are vegetarian, and are remarkable for the way in which they make hay from vegetable matter. This they cut and dry, repeatedly moving it to keep it in the sun. It is then stored in hollow haystacks beneath overhanging rocks for winter use. Picas, sometimes known as whistling hares, utter high-pitched cries. They breed as often as 3 times a year, producing from 2 to 6 young at a time. American marten and the snowshoe hare. Many members of the Mustelidae family are found in North America. These are the weasels, minks, martens and skunks, carnivores which have been much hunted for their beautiful fur. The American marten lives principally in Canadian forests, where it preys on squirrels, hunting by day and night. It also catches birds and rabbits and, like other members of its family, has a great liking for fruit. 1 to 4 young are born each year. They are fully grown in about 3 months. There are 18 species of hares and rabbits, Leporida, in North America, more than anywhere else in the world. Broadly speaking, rabbits are those members of the family which live in burrows and produce litters of blind, naked, and somewhat immature young. Hares live above ground, and their leverets, as their young are called, are kept in a form of nest. At birth they are fully furred and have open eyes, and they are very soon independent of their mother. The snowshoe hare, so named because of its large, furred feet, lives in evergreen forest areas from northern Canada to central California. The summer coat is gray, but in the northern part of its range it changes to white in winter. 2 litters a year, of 3 or 4 young, are normal, but in years of population explosion, which occur from time to time, there may be 4 litters, with as many as 8 in each. Hares feed on vegetation at dawn and dusk. They are a principal source of food to many predators, leverets being especially vulnerable. Prairie dog and the cottontail rabbit. Prairie dogs are rodents, members of the squirrel family. They inhabit open prairies where they build complex and extensive burrow systems. These burrows are constructed with a domed entrance to prevent flooding from heavy rain. Burrow systems are large, like towns with populations of thousands, and with a definite social order by which the community is regulated. Sentries are posted to keep watch for predators such as hawks, snakes and badgers, and barking alarm cries are uttered if danger threatens. From 2 to 10 young are born once a year. They are fully grown in 15 months. Grass forms the principal food, and prairie dogs do much damage to pasture land. The cottontail rabbit, of which there are about 13 species, is another member of the family Leporidae. They occupy various habitats from southern Canada to Argentina, and range in size from the little brush rabbit of the arid plains to the large swamp rabbit of the lower Mississippi River basin. Cottontails live in burrows but, except for the brush rabbit, do not dig them themselves. From 3 to 5 litters are produced every year, averaging 4 young in each litter. The young are placed in a nest above ground and, with the exception of the swamp rabbit, are born blind, naked, and helpless. Curiously, cottontails very rarely survive in captivity. This is one of the most abundant mammals in North America, and is an important source of food for man as well as for predators. Eastern chipmunk and the white-footed mouse. Many of the North American members of the family Sciuridae are ground-living squirrels, such as the marmots, ground squirrels, and chipmunks. They inhabit forested areas, prairies, or mountains. All live in burrows, either natural cavities or systems constructed by themselves, and all are vegetarian, with some insect food. A few species are semi-carnivorous. Chipmunks are plentiful in southeastern Canada and in the eastern United States. 1 or 2 litters of 4 or 5 young are born each year. Like other members of this family, chipmunks have delicate little hands with which they collect their food and stuff it into special dry pouches within the mouth. Some food is stored for the winter, when partial hibernation takes place. White-footed mice, or deer mice, are found all over America as far north as Labrador. They occupy almost any sort of habitat and are very abundant. As many as 4 litters a year, containing 5 young, are quite normal, and these mice begin to breed at 7 weeks old. They make nests lined with vegetable down in small burrows or crevices, and a new nest is made as soon as the old one becomes dirty. Although belonging to a different family, Chrysetidae, and genus, Peromyscus, they are very similar to the field mouse, Muridae, of the Old World. White-footed mice are said to sing. They certainly utter a series of high-pitched squeaks and also drum with their front feet. The diet is very varied, including seeds and fruit as well as insects and carrion. North American flying squirrel and the American mink. North American flying squirrels, family Sciuridae, are found in wooded areas from southern Alaska to Utah and California. A flattened tail and panels of loose skin, stretched between front and hind legs, enable them to glide rather than fly from tree to tree. They are nocturnal and live mostly on acorns and nuts, but will also eat meat and insects. Hollow trees, or the holes made by woodpeckers, provide them with nests, and in cold weather several dozen will congregate in one nest for warmth. They will also invade houses or take over the nesting boxes of birds. From 2 to 6 young are born in one litter, and they are blind, naked, and weigh only 2 or 3 grams at birth. The young do not develop as quickly as other rodents, and are about 70 days old before they attempt to glide. Mink are carnivores, belonging to the family Mustelidae. They inhabit wooded areas with streams or rivers and are equally at home on land or in water. Waterfowl, fish and frogs are caught in the water, and mink can swim underwater and dive to a considerable depth. On land, birds and mammals as large as a rabbit are taken. Mink are solitary animals, living in holes in river banks, in tree stumps or in the nests of other animals. From 4 to 10 young are born at a time, and female mink are particularly good mothers. They can hiss and scream in anger and, like some other members of this family, emit a terrible odor from scent glands. Mink are found throughout the United States and most of Canada. Fox squirrels and the eastern gray fox. There are about 50 species of tree squirrels, Sciuridae, in the world, and they are found in Europe, Asia, Japan, and in North and South America. Of these, the fox squirrels of the eastern United States occur in various forms and in a puzzling variety of colors. Many have orange or red bellies, some have white noses and ears, and melanism, the tendency to be very dark or black, in common. Fox squirrels are slightly bigger than the eastern gray squirrels which have been introduced into Britain. They are diurnal and arboreal, living on nuts, acorns, birds' eggs and some insects. In winter they build nests in cavities in hollow trees, which they adapt to a suitable size, but summer nests, or drays, are built in the branches. New nests are built as soon as old ones become fouled or infested with fleas. 3 or 4 young are born in each litter, and older squirrels produce 2 litters a year. North America has 3 species of fox: the red fox, similar to that of Europe and Asia, the small, rather rare kit fox, and the gray fox, which ranges from southern Canada to northern South America. Gray foxes live in wooded areas or in rocky country. They do not dig earths but live in natural cavities, particularly in hollow trees. These they will quite readily climb, an unusual activity for the family Canidae. They are also less carnivorous than other foxes, much of their diet consisting of grass, fruit and nuts. 3 or 4 cubs are born in one litter each year. Beavers and the muskrat. Beavers are rodents, members of the family Castoridae. They are found only in North America and in a few places in Europe. These large aquatic animals are fully adapted to the life they lead. They have webbed hind feet, a tail like a paddle, and teeth like chisels which can gnaw through most trees. Their food consists of the bark and leaves of such trees as willow, alder, and birch. The usual number of young in a litter is 2 to 4, born furred and with eyes open. Most beavers live in lodges, hollow piles of sticks, stones, and mud some 1 to 5 meters high. These have an underwater entrance, and in order to keep the necessary level of water, beavers create ponds by building dams across the stream. These are made by felling trees and pushing them into position with mud and other vegetation to bind and anchor them. Short canals are made into woodland in order to launch these logs, the bark of which is used for winter feeding. Beavers work cooperatively in keeping lodge and dam in repair, and they usually live in family parties. They have been continuously hunted for their beautiful fur, and although now increasing in numbers, were once very rare. Another aquatic rodent is the muskrat, family Chrysetidae, found throughout most of Canada and in the United States. Muskrats occupy burrows in the banks of streams, or create houses in marshland. The fur known as musquash is derived from this animal. Several litters of 5 or 7 young are produced annually. Fishers and striped skunks. Many of the North American Mustelidae have superb fur, for which they have been hunted. As a result, some species have been almost exterminated, and only recently, as a result of enforced protection, have they recovered in numbers. An example is the fisher, a large marten found in wooded areas from Canada to New England and New York State. Fishers spend more time on the ground than other martens, and their food consists of larger prey such as snowshoe hares and porcupines. Even deer are also eaten. Between 1 and 5, usually 4, young are born in a litter, and the family requires a large range of territory. In spite of their name, they do not necessarily eat more fish than other martens. Skunks are also members of the family Mustelidae, and in North America there are 4 species, the striped skunk, shown here, and the commonest, the hooded skunk, the spotted skunk and the hog-nosed skunk. They occupy a variety of habitats from woodland to desert, and all produce from 2 to 5 young. Skunks make dens in burrows or rock cavities and are principally nocturnal. Their food consists of many insects, including bees, small rodents, and some vegetation. When frightened or annoyed, a skunk turns its back on an enemy, sometimes stands on its hands, erects its tail and emits from special glands a jet of liquid. This not only has the most appalling smell, but also burns the skin and eyes. Even the largest and hungriest predators respect the skunk and avoid it. Douglas squirrel, chicory, and the cacamuscle, ring-tailed cat. American red squirrels, family Sciuridae, are placed in a separate genus, Tamiaceurus, by themselves. There are 2 species, the eastern red squirrel and the Douglas squirrel, which is found on the Pacific side of North America from British Columbia to California. These very attractive little animals inhabit pine forest or woodland where seed-bearing trees abound, and live on pine cones, acorns, young birds, and birds' eggs. They are active in daylight and sometimes at night. Litters usually consist of 4 young, born in a nest which is usually in a tree cavity. Chickarees are quiet creatures in the spring, but become very bold and noisy in autumn. They are much preyed on by martens, foxes, and weasels. The family Procyon contains the raccoons, pandas, coyotes, and the interesting little cacamuscle, which is found from Oregon, through Texas to Mexico. It inhabits rocky areas, usually near water or woodland, and it is a good climber. This is really a nocturnal animal and is omnivorous, although at some times of the year it is almost entirely insectivorous. Cacamuscles live in hollow trees or in holes among rocks. Here the female makes a den and produces 3 or 4 young. At birth these are covered with fine white hair, but at 4 months old are similar to their parents. Cacamuscles make excellent pets, and early settlers in America kept them as mousers, at which they are most efficient. In spite of their nickname of ring-tailed cat, they are of course no relation to the cat, Felidae, family, but they are placed in the order Carnivora. Raccoons and possums. Of the 7 species of raccoon, family Procyon, only one is found in North America, inhabiting woodland areas from southern Canada to Central America. Mostly nocturnal, they live in hollow trees or among rocks, and in the northern part of their range they go into partial winter hibernation. Raccoons are usually solitary and are omnivorous, but they particularly favor such food as frogs and fish and are therefore usually found near water. Most food is washed before being eaten, and this is especially so in the case of raccoons in captivity. There are 3 or 4 young in a litter. Sensitive noses and delicate hands give raccoons a highly developed sense of touch. They climb and swim well and for their size, are among the animal world's most efficient fighters. The order Marsupialia is fairly well represented in South America, but in North America only one species, the American opossum, family Didelphidae, is found. These primitive but tough mammals have managed to survive in spite of predators and persecution, and are found chiefly in forest areas, usually near water, from southern Canada to Central America. They are nocturnal and omnivorous, and make grass nests in cavities or burrows. Partial hibernation takes place in the northern part of the range, but only for spells of really cold weather. One litter of up to 18 young, of which only 7 survive, is born each year, after a gestation period of only 13 days. As with all marsupials, the young are minute and immature, spending their first 2 months in the mother's fur-lined pouch. Grizzly bears. Grizzly bears are generally regarded as being of the same species as the brown bears of Europe and Asia. They are, however, a great deal bigger, and in fact, the Alaskan brown bears, a subspecies, are the largest land carnivores in the world. Grizzly's family Ursidae were once spread over much of Canada, Alaska, and the United States as far south as Mexico, but they are now very rare in the United States except in national parks, and are usually found in the wild only in Canada and Alaska. Like other bears, they are omnivorous, preying on bison and cattle, as well as eating plant food and catching salmon. Grizzlies do not usually attack human beings unless provoked or startled. They are said not to like the taste of human flesh. But, like most bears, they are very inquisitive and temperamentally unreliable, and therefore can be dangerous. Apart from man, they have few enemies, and are able to dispatch any adversary with blows from their powerful forepaws. They sleep through the winter, but it is not true hibernation as their pulse rate and temperature do not alter. During this period spent in a den, 2 cubs are born weighing no more than half a kilogram each. These are not fully grown until they are 10 years old. Grizzlies vary enormously in color, those in the north sometimes being creamy white, and elsewhere sometimes almost black. In spite of their great size, they can move surprisingly quickly, but have weak eyesight and indifferent hearing. They rely extensively on their sense of smell. Canada lynx and black bears. The Canada lynx family Felidae is found in Alaska, Canada, and the northern part of the United States as far south as Oregon. These powerful, agile carnivores are nocturnal and are closely related to the lynxes of Europe. Their food consists mainly of rabbits and snowshoe hares, but many other mammals, including deer, foxes, and porcupines are caught. 1 to 4 young kittens, fully furred but blind at birth, are reared in a well-hidden den. This species is subject to a periodic decline in numbers every 10 years. This seems to coincide with a similar decrease in its principal food source, the snowshoe hare. The numbers subsequently recover, but nowhere in the world are lynxes as common as they once were. The American black bear inhabits most of the United States and Canada, except northern Alaska and the Arctic regions. It is protected in national parks, where it has greatly increased in numbers. These bears' family Ursidae may be black, brown, cinnamon or silver, and the 2 or 3 cubs in a litter may be of different colors. A white race, the Kermode bear, exists in British Columbia, and the glacier bear of southeast Alaska is blue-gray. Cubs are born every 2 years during the winter, at which time the parents are in partial hibernation. Every sort of food is eaten, including tourists' offerings in national parks. Feeding these bears is unlawful and also unwise, as they become aggressive when the supply stops. Like all bears, they are unreliable, as unlike other carnivores, they give no warning at all of an impending attack. Black bears swim well and, unlike the grizzly, are excellent climbers. Polar bears. Although this mammal is called the polar bear, there are in fact no polar bears at the North Pole. Their habitat is the southern limit of the ice floes, where they constantly migrate to those areas where seal, their principal diet, can be found. This is by far the most carnivorous of bears, and kills its prey by a blow from its gigantic front paws or by a bite through the head. Only occasionally does it come ashore and wander inland, and then rarely more than 150 kilometers from the sea. At these times it will eat grass and berries, but it is a selective feeder and does not often attack muskox or reindeer. Polar bears, family Ursidae, can swim for enormous distances and can run at about 40 kilometers per hour, 25 miles per hour. Their fur, which in places is 8 inches long, offers full protection against the severest cold and is even proof against water. In early winter, the female digs a den in the snow large enough for her to stand upright, and here she produces 2 cubs, which at birth are only 25 centimeters long. They do not enter the water or leave their mother until they are 18 months old. Polar bears breed every other year and may live for 30 years or more. Polar bears are intensely inquisitive and quite unafraid of man. For this reason, many have been easily killed in the past and are still quite needlessly hunted for so-called sport. The world numbers of these bears are fast declining, and the species is in some danger of extinction. Coyote and the American badger. It is said that these 2 animals form a hunting partnership, mutually assisting each other, although little is known of how this is arranged. Both are found in territory ranging from northern Alberta to Mexico, and are carnivores. The coyote family canidae is, like the badger, a predator of rodents and rabbits, and does much more good than harm to the interests of human beings. Yet both animals are destroyed by ranchers and farmers who, like many other people, seem to be unaware of the importance of predators in nature. Coyotes hunt singly or in small packs, and can travel at 60 kilometers per hour, which is about 45 miles per hour. The nocturnal call of the coyote can be heard for miles across the prairie. Coyotes mate for life and produce each year 1 litter of from 5 to 10 pups. These are raised in a den and fed by both parents. They are extremely intelligent and adaptable animals, and have thus survived in spite of changes to their habitat and centuries of persecution. The American badger family Mustelide is a remarkable digger, able to dig fast enough to hide itself from an enemy or to catch rodents before they can escape. It also eats rabbits, large insects, birds, and their eggs, and is quite capable of killing and eating venomous snakes. It is nocturnal, inhabiting open country and prairie. Usually 2 young are born in a den in a burrow lined with grass. Each adult badger requires a territory of about 1,500 meters in diameter. Few animals will attack a badger, which is more than a match for any dog or even an unarmed man. Timber wolf. Wolves family Canidae are found in North America, Asia and Europe, but are everywhere becoming scarcer. They are animals of the wild places, pine forests, prairie, or steppe. Because wolves sometimes prey on cattle, man has gradually exterminated them, and by cultivating wild territory has destroyed much of their habitat. This is a great pity because the wolf, which preys largely on sick, aged or weak animals, performs a most necessary function. In North America, wolves are now found chiefly in the Canadian Rockies, in Alaska, and in a few isolated areas of the United States. The red wolf, a separate species, is now rather rare, but remnants remain in Texas and Louisiana. Wolves live in family groups or small packs which have an interesting social structure. They are remarkably affectionate to one another and are believed to mate for life. Both male and female are excellent parents. 4 or 5 cubs, born blind, constitute the average litter, which may be of mixed colors. They are kept in a den, which is often a hole deliberately excavated by the wolves themselves. A pack consists normally of fewer than 15 animals, and these hunt by wearing down prey rather than by speed. Apparently tireless, trotting wolves can cover as many as 90 kilometers in a night. Although small animals such as rodents are eaten, the preferred prey consists of deer of all sizes. Wolves very rarely attack human beings, and only extreme hunger will drive them to do so. The wolves of Alaska and the Mackenzie River are much paler and very much larger than any others. Bobcat or bay lynx. Usually smaller than the Canada lynx, the bobcat differs also in having a tawnier, shorter coat, more positively marked, shorter ear tufts and smaller feet. Although the range of the two species overlaps, the bobcat is not found north of southern Canada, but is found throughout the United States as far south as central Mexico. This solitary animal family Felidae is seldom seen, and inhabits both swampland and woodland. It has no permanent home, except in the breeding season, and has a territory of about 60 square kilometers which it marks by leaving characteristic scratches on trees. Chiefly nocturnal, the bobcat will cover as many as 40 kilometers in a night, preying on rabbits, birds, and occasionally deer. It does not suffer from the same periodic decline in numbers as the lynx, as it is not so dependent on the supply of snowshoe hares as a source of food. Coyotes, foxes, and even owls will kill bobcat kittens, and man has persecuted this species for centuries. The bobcat has, however, learned to survive more effectively than the lynx, and the fact that its fur is not so highly prized by trappers may also contribute to its survival. Normally there is one litter of 3 or 4 kittens a year, but some female bobcats, which like all wildcats are smaller than the male, produce 2 litters. These kittens are born blind and, like most wildcats, with spotted fur. Silent at other times of the year, bobcats yowl and caterwaul at mating time, March. They have marvelous eyesight and hearing, climb and swim well, and in the wild live for about 10 years. The cougar. Cougar, puma, mountain lion, painter or catamount, these are all different names for the same animal, which ranges throughout both North and South America from British Columbia to Tierra del Fuego. This is the greatest range of any mammal in the New World. The great cats, those that rule, are the lion, tiger, leopard, snow leopard, and jaguar. All are placed in the genus Panthera family Felidae. The other lesser cats, except the cheetah, are placed in the genus Felis, and of these the cougar is the largest. Because of the varying habitats occupied by the cougar, the size and color varies. Those which live in the north are large and those from tropical climates smaller and darker. The principal food is deer, one animal the size of a mule deer being the average kill each week. Other foods include rodents, large and small. Prey is caught by stalking it, not by chasing like a cheetah or lying in wait like a leopard. Cougars will return to a kill, but generally they prefer fresh-killed meat. 3 cubs, spotted, blind and very small, constitute the average litter, and they are born in a well-concealed den at any time of the year. They are exceptionally playful and are raised by the mother alone, staying with her until they are about 2 years old. The lifespan is up to 20 years. Usually silent, at mating time cougars yowl, scream, and even whistle. When at ease they purr. Instances of man-eating are very rare, only occurring when the cougar is intensely hungry, wounded or suffering from rabies. The pronghorn. The pronghorn is the only member of the family Antilocapridae and is strictly neither an antelope nor a deer. It is the only survivor of a group of the order Artiodactyla that developed in prehistoric times. The horns of both sexes have a permanent bony core upon which a sheath of hard fused hair grows each year and which is shed after the breeding season. Pronghorns inhabit prairie and desert from Saskatchewan to Mexico, but only in isolated pockets and not as a continuous population. They are hunted by wolves and coyotes, cougars and bobcats and by man, but they are able to survive because of their wariness and by using their immense speed, which can be as much as 65 kilometers per hour. Almost any sort of vegetation, including cactus, is eaten, and in snow the front feet are used for digging for food. As with other desert animals, a regular supply of water is not essential. A woolly undercoat, covered by an outer coat of harsh brittle hair, protects the pronghorn against the cold. In summer heat, the outer coat can be raised or lowered by muscles in the skin, and thus the body temperature is kept constant. 2 patches of white hair on the rump are also controlled in this way. Twin calves, born and hidden some 90 meters apart, are raised by the mother on milk which is exceptionally rich. At 4 days old they can run faster than a man. Pronghorns have enormous eyes which give them very long sight and a very wide angle of vision. In many areas they are in some danger of extinction. The moose. Moose are the largest of the family Cervidae, bulls bearing the heaviest antlers of all deer, and with legs so long that they have to kneel down to graze. They are almost entirely browsers, living on leaves and branches of such trees as willow or on water plants. When gathering the latter, they frequently submerge completely. A full-grown moose requires about 25 kilograms of food a day. Moose inhabit wooded and marshy areas, are strong swimmers with a highly developed sense of smell and hearing, but have poor eyesight. In North America, moose range from Maine through most of Canada to Alaska and south to northern Colorado. In Europe, where they are called elk, they are found in small numbers in Norway and Sweden, more abundantly in Russia and Siberia, and in Asia in Manchuria and Mongolia. The numbers in North America are recovering after being somewhat depleted. Moose are normally solitary animals, but at breeding time bulls remain with the cow until the calf is 10 days old. Calves stay with their mother for a year, until the next calf is born. They are not spotted and are reddish in color. Twins or triplets only occur rarely. Like the bellowing adults at mating time, calves are rather noisy, frequently whimpering and grunting. Bulls shed their huge antlers in December, and in April begin to grow new ones. Until July the antlers are extremely sensitive and are covered with a thin skin which has the appearance of velvet. This skin then peels off, revealing the hardened antler beneath. The wapiti and the caribou. Wapiti is the Shawnee Indians' word for an animal which is sometimes referred to as an elk in North America. Similarly, the Algonquian Indians used the word caribou, which means shoveler, to describe the reindeer and its habit of scraping in snow for food. Wapiti family Cervidae are closely related to the red deer of Europe and Asia. They are bigger than European deer and have much bigger antlers. They live in large herds, inhabiting mountain meadowland in summer and wooded valleys in winter. Once numerous, they are now found only in the Rocky Mountains and from British Columbia south to central California. Wolves and cougars are their principal enemies other than man, who has killed thousands as trophies. Calves are usually single and are speckled with white. Caribou collect in huge migratory herds all around the Arctic Circle, in Siberia and Lapland as well as in northern Canada. Both males and females carry antlers, the only members of the family Cervidae to do so. Those of the males are huge and of fantastic shapes. There is a great variety in color and some races, such as the Prairie caribou, are almost white. In North America, caribou are not found further south than Lake Superior. They form a very important part of the economy of the Eskimos who, in Alaska, have imported the more easily domesticated European reindeer. Thus considerable interbreeding between races has occurred. Since 1930, the herds have been greatly reduced. Single calves, not spotted like most other deer, are born in summer. In a few hours they can run several miles. White-tailed deer and the mule deer. These two rather similar species, family Cervidae, are most easily distinguished by their tails and by the type of antlers carried by the bucks. Mule deer are found in western Canada and the western United States, as far south as northern Mexico. Their tails are white, black-tipped and rounded, and their antlers branch into two parts. The tail of white-tail, on the other hand, is broad and edged with white, and the antlers have one main beam with minor branches. Whitetails are found in varying forms in southern Canada, all over the United States and as far south as northern South America. Neither species lives in herds and, although mule deer are found in deserts, the usual habitat is wooded country with enough cover to provide hiding places. In winter, when they have longer, much grayer coats, they may form small herds whenever food is plentiful. Although many starve in winter, these deer are overabundant, an estimated population of 5 million animals over the whole range. Some races of whitetail are very small and are known as key deer. They have tiny hoofs, the size of a man's thumbnail, and are in some danger of extinction. Young whitetails produce single fawns, but otherwise both species produce families of 2, 3, or 4. These are spotted, scentless, and are hidden in separate places by the mother. She feeds them on very rich milk and they are weaned in 6 weeks. Food consists of a wide variety of vegetation, and these deer are both grazers, grass eaters, and browsers, leaf eaters. The bison. This is the largest mammal in the New World and, before the advent of European settlers, wandered over the North American prairies in herds amounting in all to 50 million animals. By 1889, this great number had been reduced to a total of 541. They were shot for food, particularly for the workers building the railways, and also for sport. Today, thanks to protection, bison live in national parks, about 6,000 in the United States and probably 25,000 in Canada. Bison family Bovidae can move remarkably quickly, and are unreliable and dangerous animals. Herds are led by a cow, except at mating time when a bull takes over. Both sexes have horns and all bison are fond of wallowing in mud and rolling in huge dust baths, presumably to rid themselves of ticks and of irritation caused by molting. North American bison are grazers, feeding in the early morning and evening. Life expectancy is about 15 years in the wild, although in captivity they do not usually live so long. They have poor eyesight, but a good sense of smell and hearing. As with other members of the family Bovidae, bulls fight savagely for the cows at mating time, but later form separate all-male herds. A A single golden yellow calf, rarely twins, is born between April and June in a place apart from the herd. Calves are protected by the cow and often by the bull and the rest of the herd also. Cows feed their calves for nearly a year and protect them for up to 3 years, after which they themselves can breed. The musk ox. Once, in prehistoric times, an inhabitant of Europe including Britain, Siberia, and the United States, the musk ox is now restricted to tundra and snowfields in northern Canada and Greenland. This very ancient species, placed in a genus Ovibos family Bovidae by itself, lies in the scheme of things somewhere between the cattle and the sheep. Huge splayed feet enable it to move readily and surprisingly quickly, if necessary, across snow. The fur, consisting of a fine woolly undercoat and coarser outer hair, protects against both rain and snow in winter and against the attacks of mosquitoes which abound in its habitat in summer. Musk ox are gregarious, forming fairly large herds, usually widely spaced, which provide defensive rings against the attacks of such predators as wolves or grizzlies. Young animals remain within the ring, while the adults present a solid outer circle. They never retreat. The introduction of firearms proved disastrous to the musk ox population, their massed groups presenting too easy a target. Now protected in Canada, there are some 10,000 of them left. They have excellent eyesight, with special pupils which shield their eyes from the glare of the snow. Their name derives from the musky smell of their fur. Food consists of vegetation, bark, moss, and lichens for which, like caribou, they dig through deep snow. The single calf is kept warm and dry under the mother's dense skirt of hair. This is a very ancient species, living specimens being almost identical with the prehistoric form. Rocky Mountain goats and bighorn sheep. High in the Rocky Mountains above the tree line lives the rock mountain goat family Bovidae, found also in mountains in Alaska, Montana, and south to northern Oregon. This is not a true goat, but what is known as a goat antelope, related to the chamois of Europe. Specially adapted hoofs with a sharp rim and padded center enable this animal to maintain a foothold on precipitous rocks and narrow ledges. In such a habitat it has to be both browser and grazer, picking up whatever it can. It is an exceptional climber and jumper, and for this reason has few enemies, nor is it prized as a trophy. Avalanches probably cause more casualties among these goats than predators such as eagles and cougars. 1 or 2 kids are born in May or June, and mature rapidly. Lower down on the mountains, from British Columbia to Alberta and south to New Mexico, lives the magnificently horned bighorn sheep family Bovidae. Much sought after as a big game trophy, it is by no means as plentiful now as it once was. Bighorns are noted for the noisy and spectacular battles between the rams at breeding time. They will continue to charge at each other, head to head, for as long as 2 hours at a time. In spite of this, there are relatively few fatalities. Like all wild sheep as opposed to domestic sheep, bighorns do not grow thick woolly coats in spite of their habitat. They are principally grazers, whose lambs born singly can very soon climb among crags and precipices. The end. Fun fact: raccoons seem to wash their food before eating it. Were you paying close attention to the story? Try the fun quiz. What animal emits a smelly liquid from special glands found under its tail? The answer is a skunk. How long are adult Canadian porcupines' quills? The answer is 5 centimeters. How fast can polar bears run? The answer is 25 miles per hour. Fun fact: the largest antlers ever recorded on a moose had a span of 210 centimeters and belonged to a creature felled in Alaska in 1897. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Remember to like and subscribe to the Telltale channel and click the notification bell for more stories, quizzes, and fun facts.